Anybody that's in jail for any type of weed should be set free. It's legal in enough places that anyone that's sitting in jail for anything to deal with cannabis should be set free. That it's no longer illegal. That's like having somebody in jail for alcohol and prohibition is over. It's about control and staying within the realm. I have this term that I say it's not worth the party. We like to party, but it's not worth your life. So balance it out. These are recreational drugs. It should be recreation, not an addiction. And as a homeboy, you're supposed to tell your man, like, you smoking too much weed, dude.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to House of Haze with Javier Hasse. That's me. And this is a new High Times podcast where we get to shoot the shit with cool people. This first episode, we're joined by the one and only Ice-T, who has some hot shit for us today. So let's get into it. Welcome to this new High Times podcast. It's called, Haze House with Javier Hasse. It's kind of a play on words with my name. I know it's corny, but I'm very excited to have you as our first guest.
Thanks for having me, man. It's appreciated.
When we spoke a few months ago, you mentioned you always wanted to stay sober throughout your life. And that was kind of a value for you, right? It kept you, on your toes. But something that you can think of that, like, staying sober has helped you avoid, something that fame or money could not fix if it went wrong.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, when I was growing up, the people were getting high and they were making mistakes. And all my friends who ended up in prison, usually it was because they was messing around with cocaine or something to do with that and not making the right decisions. And I learned early that the guys that were the most dangerous were the sober cats. Like, even right now, if you go out and you watch somebody out and about and they have security, those security are not high. They are on point. So I always knew chronic, especially weed, I said it gives people what I call chronic delay. It's a little bit that split second. And that split second could be your life out here in the streets. And I also looked up to a lot of cats and I would see them inebriated, whether it was drunk or high. And I was like, they're not really on point right now. They're kind of like giving their back to somebody, letting someone else control. I think I think just being focused and being on top of things, I can't say one thing that it saved me from, but I just always like to be alert. And I've always been the kind of person that was in charge of people around me. Like, if I went out with you, I'm looking out for you. If I take my wife out and her girlfriends, I'm looking out for her. So it's just been a part of my life. Nowadays I drink a little, I've been high off those gummies like a motherfucker. I never smoked, but I've been so high. I was high off the gummies in Arizona one night. And I started a conversation with somebody. And in the middle of the conversation, I had no idea what the point I was trying to make. And I was like, are you high right now? So I tried it again. I went into some in-depth conversation. And in the middle of it, I just lost where I was like, yo, I'm fucked up right now. Like, this shit is working. And I've been around Snoop Dogg. I'm not afraid of marijuana. Let's get that straight. Out of every drug, it's the only one I really accept in my presence. We used to always say, if somebody was on coke, they'll rob you while they apologize to you. They'll be like, I'm sorry, man, I just got to do this because I'm fucked up right now. But weed doesn't do that. And I've never heard anyone dying from it or either getting sick from it. So I'm very pro cannabis. But it's just more of being always in a leadership position and always having to be very conscious. That's it. That's what I've always found for me. And maybe that did help me in my career, of being somebody that was always on point in the room.
I love that, man. And I think that it's very funny that you said this thing about, like, robbing you and apologizing. I know a guy who was held up. He was riding his motorcycle in a difficult neighborhood, and two guys just pushed him off. And he got hurt. And so the guys who were trying to rob his motorcycle helped him up. and it was raining and it was cold and he had a jacket on. And the guys go like, give me your jacket. And they go like, dude, but you're helping me. Can I keep my jacket? It's cool. And the guys go, sorry, but we are out robbing. You know, it's like apologies, but we're doing our job.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry, but I'm fucked up and I need that. And you'll be able to get another one. You know, they're not, you know, now the problem is if you see their face or you're a known person, they're like, okay, Ice, we're gonna rob you, but then we gotta shoot you a couple times because you'll probably come after us, you know? So that's why when people get robbed, they're like, I didn't see you. I don't know what you look like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we used to say if you're getting robbed and the robbers don't have masks on, you're in much more trouble than if they're masked. Because usually when they're not masked, they're not going to leave any witnesses. But it just comes from the environment I grew up in. Now, like I say, if I'm at home, you know, I don't mind. I could get high in my house. I could chill. I'm not really, you know, worried about it. But when you're out in the streets and you're young and a lot of bad things are happening around, I just didn't think it was smart. Plus, I'm an orphan. I don't have brothers or sisters. So I always felt like if I hit the ground, is there anybody's job to get me home? And you got to think about that, especially, you know, when I got with my wife, she used to get blackout drunk. And I'm like, that's dangerous, you know, but you come from Arizona where everyone knew you, all your friends were there, but this is New York City. I will blink and never see you again. This is a different place. So, you know, being sober, you are putting yourself at risk if you're not, especially, I don't care if you're doing acid, I don't care if you're doing mushrooms, whatever you're doing, you want to make sure you're in a safe environment. Let's just say that.
Yeah, they call it set and setting, right? It's all about where you are and how you are within, like, with yourself. But, you know, tell me what changed within you that made you willing to experiment with cannabis, even if not smoking, right? Because until recently, you were not particularly.
Well, I wasn't doing any drugs. I hadn't done any drugs till later in my life. I wasn't even doing liquor. I was kind of like social drinker. Like if you pop champagne, I would hold it in my hand, drink it, sip it a little bit. Because I'm always just, it's more iced tea is very cautious. I'm very cautious. But I hadn't done any drugs. Then I got with Coco, and she was a party girl. She, you know, she had been in Vegas and done everything, you know. So now you got a wife that wants to party. She's like, party with me. I'm like, I don't do it. But then I was like, okay, if you want me to start drinking or hanging with you or whatever, you can't get as high. So you got to look out for me. If you want, we've got to both watch out for each other. So that's where it started. Then
meet you halfway. They call compromise halfway happy.
Yeah. You can't get so drunk that I be drunk too. We're both fucked. But if you get a little high and I get a little high, we can have some fun. We both make it home safe. Secondly, the first drug I ever really tried before cannabis was ecstasy. And that was because people had told me that it was a sex drug. So now you got my attention. Because up to that point, they were like, do weed, it'll cool you out. I'm like, my name is Ice. I'm cool. Like, I don't need to be cool. Like, I'm chill naturally. So that wasn't attractive to me. But ecstasy, when they said it was a sex drug, you got my attention. And I got a crazy story about that. You want to hear my ecstasy story?
Yes, please.
We're on a podcast. Fuck it. So we're in
high times. No one's going to judge you.
This is all about getting high. So no weed yet, but I'm about to do E. How about that? So we're in Miami at a club called the Crowbar, and it's a techno club. So everything was right. Coco was looking hot. I was in the zone. And I've been going to techno clubs so long because in Europe, that's all they have. It's EDM clubs. And when you tour, even though you're doing hip hop or metal, if you want to go to a club, you're going to an EDM club. So I'm like, I don't understand techno, this, that, third. So I'm in there. So I said, fuck it. I'm ready to do some E tonight. So she goes, you ready to roll? You ready? You ready? I'm like, okay, what do I do? She said, find some. So what I do now, I'm walking around the fucking club. I walk up to this kid. I said, I'm trying to get some E. He goes, oh shit, Ice-T's trying to get high. So I'm like, fuck. So then he pointed me over to this other dude. And this dude was Mr. Techno. He had the big fucking pants on, the glow sticks, the fucking big shoes, the whole shit. So I walk up to him and I say, yo, man, I'm trying to get some E. They say you're the man. He looked at me and goes, oh shit, Ice-T. He reaches in his pocket. He pulls out a handful of E. Not one, like 20. And he said, they said, I'm the man. And he put them in my hand. He said, now you're the man. I'm like, how about that? So now I go back to Coco. I say, yo, I got some. She goes, holy shit, the fuck? I'm like, it's a lifetime supply. I said, what do we do? She says, do one. So I do one. Okay, this is what happens. First thing, I found out I started rubbing my legs. I'm rubbing my own legs. Then she's dancing in front of me and everything outside of her is out of focus but her. And then the most amazing thing happened. I understood techno. Techno just started to make sense. It was divided, it was moving, and I'm like, yo, this shit, okay, now I get this music. You have to be on drugs. So now, 5 minutes later, I got her dancing on a fucking speaker. I'm just like, I'm just into this shit. So we go back to the hotel, and I turned into Max Hardcore, the porno star. Next thing you know, I did my deed, and she rolls over when I'm done and said, where did you come from? I said, I found my shit, ecstasy. That's my ecstasy story. That, I did that a couple times, cool. Then I went to Atlantic City, and she said she had some Molly. Somebody gave her some Molly, which is in a capsule. We took that, and it wasn't Molly. 2 a.m. when I'm ready to do my deed, I'm walking around like my teeth are chattering like this. It was speed. I'm like, what the fuck did we just take? I was up for 2 days. Showed up to Law and Order, like, yo, I'm high from fucking Saturday night. Like, they like, Ice is high as fuck. I was acting super fast. So that was the last time I ever did any drug. Because now with fentanyl, all that, I'm scared. I don't want to die. A lot of my friends have died on the first try. I actually just did a thing. So now, here comes the cannabis thing, okay? Now, I've been around smokers and stuff like that, but it's easier for people that smoke. I just don't smoke. So I'm like, and you know, I always try to make it clear to people, I'm not afraid of it. I just don't do it. So they say, gummies, dude, gummies. Same thing, cannabis. And I also have microdosed mushrooms. But I microdose by taking 30 of them. So, you know, I'm like, well, that's a microdose. How about a maxi dose? But,
yeah, I think that's cheating. It's like White Castle saying, oh, just have a little tiny bite. Like, yeah, right. No, you're having 30 sliders, okay?
But, you know, I've been familiar with high times from, you know, the cannabis cups and all the stuff that's going on. So now to be in this cannabis space is interesting for me. But like I told you before, I got in it just as a business thing, you know, and I've met so many cool people through it and stuff. I just did a collab with Brothers Grimm for seeds. So I'm like, well, if I'm co-signing the seed, I want my shit to be the best in the history of the world. So they promised me that they crossbreeded the best of this and that. So we'll see, you know, but it's all exciting to me.
Do you have like your smoking friends maybe testing it for you, doing like, you know, secret shopper kind of stuff?
Just smoking downstairs. Like my guys are all weed heads, But like I said, that's the only thing. We'll accept a little alcohol and a little weed, but anything else is the no. We not with that. And we used to have a rule as far as drinking. You'll like this one. If you're with the crew and you get drunk and you stop listening to us, one of us gets to knock you out. Say your name again.
Javier.
Harry?
Javier.
Javier. Oh, you got a fly name. That's a player name. Javier. So if we out and we say, come on, it's time to go. And you're like, no, fuck that. I'm staying. Look, man, we're leaving. It's time. No, fuck. All right, knock him out. Somebody gets to and then we carry you to the car. Because, or you want to fight everybody in the club and it's not the right time to fight. You got to put you down. Hold it. We got him. So that's the rule. So, it's about control and staying within the realm. I have this term that I say it's not worth the party. We like the party, but it's not worth your life.
Yeah.
So balance it out, balance it out. These are recreational drugs. It should be recreation, not an addiction, not anything other, and as a homeboy, you're supposed to tell your man, like, you smoking too much weed, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gotta calm the fuck down.
No, I get it. And a lot of people get pissed, right, in the cannabis community when you say there's such a thing as smoking too much weed, right? Or there can be some negative effects to it, right? I am a big proponent of medical cannabis, full legalization, but I do acknowledge that there are some risks for some people, right? And if we're not mindful of that, I think we're kind of fucking up.
Well, like I said, the only risks I see is laziness. Like I told my son, like, you gotta know when to do it. Like you can't just, cause cannabis will have you say, I'll go to the gym, you'll stand up, and then you'll say tomorrow, and you got, you feel so good about it. And then Guru from Gangstar, rest in peace. I love his comment. He told me, Ice, I stopped smoking weed and I realized I didn't like any of my friends.
Jazzmatazz, like all the Jazzmatazz series is so good to get high though. Like honestly, like if you ask me what's a great series of records to get high and have sex, Jazzmatazz, right. Top 3.
Well, Guru realized that the reason he had a lot of friends because he was buying the weed, and as soon as them people are like, yo, what's happening? You like, I don't get high. Oh man, fuck you, man. Shit, you ain't cool no more. So, when you're the person that's providing the recreation, and like we always say, you never really know if somebody's your friend till you tell them no. And then see how that works. So, I'm so deep in it. When Snoop showed up on the set for Law and Order, he was smoking weed on the set in my dressing room. He had everybody on the set high. He didn't give a fuck. But that's Snoop Dogg.
I think he's earned the privilege.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you one thing. One of the things that really at least appealed to me from your new collaboration is, that you're donating a percentage of the profits to minorities for medical marijuana. And I think it's also good, for consumers and for people, right? Because, some people will say, hey, if this dude is in it just for the money, he doesn't smoke, why is he opening a dispensary? Now, why is he launching seeds? And they're like, okay, it's not just about me getting rich, but about like doing something good for society. So,
well, but Ice-T is very transparent. I am absolutely in it for the money. I don't think people open up dispensaries to help the community. They open up dispensaries because it's a business. If you want to just help the community, give it away. Ice-T just gave 500 pounds of weed to the people that want to smoke, So, but there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if it is a business and I say, well, then, at the same time, can we give back? Can we give a charity, kick some money back to the charity? I think that's righteous. I think that's important. but that's not the initial reason you did it. Anybody that tells you that, that's bullshit. You know, you go to Bulldog Cafe in Amsterdam and all the coffee shops, they're not doing it for the people. You know, it's a business. The weed dealer on the corner is not doing it to make you happy. It's a business to everybody in the weed business world. High Times magazine is not free, you know? So don't get mad at capitalism. I mean, but what happens is you say, you know what, if we are making money, let's give it back. But here's news. You're not getting rich off of dispensaries anymore. The gold rush is over. And you know, our dispensary in New Jersey City is just scraping by right now because there's so many dispensaries.
Yeah,
and there's so much.
Yeah, I was chatting with 2 California growers yesterday who moved to Argentina, and you know they were reminiscing about the times when like a pound was like $4,000, right? Like the illicit market was much more profitable than the legal market, is what they say.
It still is. It still is. You have to pay taxes. You have to overhead. Like we have a building cost. You have all this coming out the trunk. Will always be more. Then the only thing you can do prison time. You know what I'm saying? So it's just not. You know, I don't know. Maybe 3 years ago when they were just opening up like even our cannabis spot in Jersey City, we wanted to be open 2 years ago. It took us 5 years to get it open. And almost $3 million, you know, to get a simple dispensary open. Now ours is 12,000 square feet. We have space still to have a consumption lounge, but they haven't given any licenses. So now we're carrying a big, huge rent. It's not that easy, and it's not like lines around the block, you know. Now what dispensaries are like liquor stores. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like they're on every other corner, and you got to pick the one you like. So we just have to beat people out with good business, good deals, and people got to like your spot over the other spot, you know, and trust you. You know, we do deliveries and all that, but people like, oh yeah, you're gonna get in it and get rich. Nah, if I want to get rich, I would sell bricks of cocaine.
Man, I do love that you didn't, you know, back up of that question. You stood your ground, and it's a controversial take, but it's something that you told me last time we spoke. You said, I don't back up easy. I asked you about street credibility, and you said that is not something anyone uses. But to me, being gangster is being, you know, not backing down or backing up. Right?
Anyone could look, Javier. Anybody could take a position. It takes a soldier to hold a position. You know, so. What to come out and say I'm not doing this for the money is a crack of shit, you know. It is, but at the end of the day, if you could give some money back to the people, if you can hire some kids from the community and give them jobs, you know, if you can help people in the process, then you're doing the right thing, you know. But you know, people like, oh well, you don't smoke weed and you know, you sell cannabis. I sold coke too. I didn't do coke. You know what I'm saying? So what the fuck? I mean, so, you know, it is what it is.
You know, and here's another take that I know hasn't been very popular in my life, right? I've spoken to like former Mexican presidents who got into the business but didn't support it when they were presidents, or like, you know, this guy who was the Speaker of the House and was very anti-cannabis, and then, you know, started supporting it because he was affiliated to a company, and people were pissed when I interviewed them. And my take was, dude, we have been battling for so long to change hearts and minds. Now we convince people who are against cannabis or didn't like cannabis to support legalization, to have people not go to prison for it, to not get killed or racially targeted, right? This is kind of what it looks like. And still it pisses people off for some reason. It's like, oh, there's the wrong reason to support it. I think like
Javier, let me tell you like this. You can't make motherfuckers happy. Someone who wants to be mad is gonna find a reason to be mad at anything. I could show you a picture of a baby on a blanket. They'll say he's on the ground though. There's germs on the ground. Like motherfuckers just want to be mad about some shit. You know, like just do you know, me myself, as long as I can look in the mirror and I feel right about what I'm doing, maybe you could change my mind. I don't know, but at the moment, I feel like I'm not doing nothing wrong. And you know, people don't know what the fuck they want. You know, they want it legal. I believe though, now here I want to this might be controversial, but how could it be? Anybody that's in jail for any type of weed should be set free. It's like it's legal in enough places that anyone that's sitting in jail for anything to deal with cannabis should be set free. That it's no longer illegal. That's like having somebody in jail for alcohol and prohibition is over. You know, so you know, the problem is people look to government and they look to politics for the answers. And they don't understand that politicians are the biggest criminals in the history of the world. They're going to do whatever close they pocket. They're taking bribes, they're doing this, they're doing that. So until they feel there's a benefit to them, to their pocket, they're not going to do it. And someone was asking me, well, do you want it federally become legal federally? The only reason would be to free the prisoners. Other than that, having the federal government in your business, who the fuck needs that? It's bad enough with the state in your fucking business. So, two sides to it. You see what I'm saying? Make it federally legal, free the prisoners, right? Free every fucking body. I don't give a fuck. Everybody, any cannabis charge, commute it. Let them out. Let them walk out the gates. Have the federal government in your legal business? But who would that hurt? It would just hurt the people that have dispensaries. It wouldn't hurt the normal person. So I don't know, man. You know, trying to find balance in this world is damn near impossible. So you just gotta let the chips fall where they may.
It's a dilemma. I have a million more questions, but I want to be mindful of your time. I got two more that I wanted to. One is like something that might piss people off as well. But
let's piss them off. I'm on here. I don't
trust anyone with a gun, and I am anti-guns. I fucking hate them. Now, you know how. Like, can you elaborate on that? And also, like, how do you feel safe in a country that is?
No, I don't. I don't feel safe. Who the fuck feels safe here? There's more guns than people. But the thing of it is that once they've infested this thing with guns, how do you get gun control? It's too late. See, they wait too late to try to do things. Now, if you're in Britain, you hear everybody's getting stabbed. Everybody got knives, but nobody's getting shot. And if you got a gun over there, you really are looking at some serious time. I went to Singapore. You ever been there?
I have not been to Singapore.
When you're on the plane, when you get on the plane, they hand out cards and it says drug offenses are punishable by death.
That's why I don't go to Singapore. I do love weed.
Death. And guess what? Death is written in red letters. Okay? So there are places where there's a lot more restrictions, but at the end of the day, man, you know, there's a lot of guns in the United States. I don't feel safe. People are still running off the Constitution. The Constitution to me is a joke. You know, it also says you can own black people on there too, you know. So there's a, you know, like, come on, man. Like when they wrote that shit, that was another time. It's almost like it's time for a new constitution. You're trying to hold this country on some shit that was written by guys. They read the Constitution. They were like, oh yeah, oh, and you can own niggas. Oh, I'll sign this. This seems right. Like, so they were insane. But then they go, well, that was the time. That's their answer to that.
It wasn't the time. The Argentine Constitution was written in the 19th century, so the 1800s. One of the first passages says, any slave that steps 1 foot in Argentine soil is automatically freed. It wasn't so much like a thing of the times anymore when the Constitution was written.
My point. So my point is now, here we go. We got this Constitution. We got the right to bear arms. The right to bear arms is your last form of defense against tyranny, right? But the tyrants got the guns. You see what's happening in the United States right now, right? So my thing is this. If nobody had a gun, I don't want a gun. To some people, they're gadgets. Like Coco's dad, he got 100 guns. He's a gun nut. He collects guns. I'm like, Pops, if shit pops off, you're only gonna be able to grab one. You know, like, what, you gonna strap 4 guns on you? Like, you got, like, you know, and I was in the military, so I'm just like, so my thing is like, yeah, I got a gun, because if somebody comes, breaks in my crib, I don't want to grab a butcher knife. I want to be ready for whatever they coming with. But no, I'm not pro gun.
No, it's like insurance.
Well,
I
I'm just like, it's too
never
late.
got to use it.
It's too late. It's what it is. It's too late. If there were no guns, no one would need a gun, because you don't need a fucking Uzi to hunt. Okay, so, but the Constitution says it's the right to bear arms. It's the right to have a militia. It's your form of defense against tyranny. So it does mean a machine gun. But, you know, I watch YouTube, and I watch motherfuckers down south. These motherfuckers got flamethrowers. They got 50 cals. They got some guns down there, suppressed weapons. They're like, oh, I got this, I got that. I'm like, some people got a lot of guns. You like, there's some people in the country that got a lot of guns, full fucking military shit, you know, and they're citizens. So I don't know what to say about it, you know. Yeah.
That was eloquently put. Last one. Give me the story of the Rick and Morty cameo. I think that is, dude, that's fun.
Rick and Morty. Well, at some point you slip into the ether of America, and everybody knows who you are. So now the way you know that is you get on Cheerios boxes, and you end up in I did Rugrats and all these other bullshit. So I get a call from Rick and Morty. They say they want to put me in the video, in the show. Could I do the vocals? And at the time, I was in Europe on tour with Body Count. And I'm like, I'm not available. And I was like, are they about to dog me? Right? Because, you know, South Park will drag you, you know? So I don't know. It's animation. Or how y'all feel about me? No, we're big fans. We're big fans, Ice-T. We love you. I'm like, okay. Well, good luck. So they did it. You know, I came, big Ice Cube man. And then when they came back and they did the grandfather, I played the grandfather, and they used my real voice and stuff. But, you know, that's just love. You know, people love you, and when that starts to happen, that's really cool, you know. You'd be surprised, like, you're hitting all these different generations at different times. I've been on Family Guy, I've been in all these places, but, you know, you're lucky when animation does not dog you. You gotta, they'll have you fucked up if they don't like you and shit. So I was like, yes, Rick and Morty, they gave me a pass. They gave me a superhero.
Let's keep it that way. Let's keep them liking me.
Exactly. But, you know, it's a point in time in your life where you just want to have fun with it. You know, I think at this point, people know who Ice-T is. They pretty much know how I stand on shit. I'm known for being honest. Like, I think I was on this podcast. Dude, it's funny. I just did a show.
100%.
I just did a show. I just did a show with Lamb of God, right? So I'm in Minneapolis. I walk on the stage, all these white people, all these crazy rockers, and I just said, I said, how's y'all doing? I said, white on white crime. I said, I ain't got shit to do with it. And they went crazy. I said, yo, y'all motherfuckers have fucking black people. We're just chilling right now. Like, what the fuck is going on? Everything is going crazy in the world. But I think my positions have been well documented, and to continue to repeat it, it is not going to change anything. People know how I feel about shit. And I'm not a Democrat, Republican. I call them the Democrats and the blood publicans. I call it gang banging. I think both wings are on the same bird. At the end of the day, when you pay taxes, you're paying to the government. When you go to the federal prison, it's the government. So, and I think, if I'm not wrong, most people agree with some Democratic shit and some Republican shit. They agree with, they don't agree. But the problem is, to be in a party, you have to join the gang. And once you're in the gang, you got to rock with everything the gang says. And I'm from the gang culture. I understand gang membership, but I never joined the gang. So why am I joining one of y'all gangs? So I'm independent. I'm an independent thinker. But I ended with this. If I'm talking to somebody I respect, I also respect their opinion. And my opinion can be changed. And I like, how would I say? I don't like debates, but I like progressive conversation. I don't like, I don't, if you're set out to debate me, I don't got no time for that shit.
No. Yeah. I don't want you to convince me. You want to make a point. Maybe I change my mind.
Right. Exactly. I listen to you, but I have to also first believe that you're an intelligent person worthy of me paying attention to you, you know, and everybody's not. So you first got to gain my respect, and then I'll say, okay, I like you. I want to know how you feel about things. So there it is.
That is perfect, man. I really appreciate the time. Tell people where they can find the Brothers Grimm collab. You know,
the Brothers Grimm collab with me. Is they're about to seize. We call them body count. Hopefully they'll lay you out but not kill you. But it's probably put you in a state of comatose. Some good weed that makes you feel, blows your mind in a good way. Brothers Grimm has been making seeds for years and years. They're one of the #1 out there. So you give it a try. You know, I dropped with Montel Jordan. He got his own weed, and you know, let's see what it do. I mean, I'm really excited to see the plants personally. I would love my my seeds to win the Cannabis Cup.
We gotta get that, man. Honestly, first step is to get them into the Cannabis Cup.
Yeah, let's get into the Cannabis Cup. And also, if you're in New Jersey and you want to step by my dispensary, it's called The Medicine Woman. It's at 660 Tunley Avenue in Jersey City. And we'll treat you real good, all kinds of discounts. And it's, you know, it's a beautiful thing. It's called The Medicine Woman, you know, but it's for recreation. And it's basically
out the other day offering, like, she saw I was visiting and she was like, hey, drop by anytime. We'll take care of you. It's like,
And The Medicine Woman is my partner, Luke and Cheris's. When I got the chance, it's really a franchise from California. It's a California dispensary put in New Jersey. So it's got a Cali vibe.
I love that, man. Thank you so much. And until next time.
Yes, sir. Peace.